Tomorrow night, Ross, it's Melbourne v Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. Melbourne looking to go 4-0. Port Adelaide trying to avoid going 0-4. And we just want to touch on, there's obviously the graphics. Wines, I think he needs to lift. Clayton Oliver, best on ground last week. But this is intriguing, Port Adelaide. Ross, they've won the inside 50 count all 3 weeks. Their pressure factor is ranked number 2, yet they've conceded 99 points a game. Only Essendon have conceded more.
Well, 17th ranked defence. So if you're the midfield and your forwards, you're saying to our backs, well, we're doing our job. Yeah. We're putting the pressure on. We're getting the ball in there. They're scoring reasonably well by accuracy. So the defence and the back six need to lift. So we know Ali's been out, that big roll-off players. Jonas is a little bit undersized, but maybe some of the Houstons, Jones, maybe they need to adjust the game. Less run-off, more support for your tall defenders. But you can just see here, it's just good body work on McKenzie. He's been out for a week, but they're just letting him run and launch at the ball. But there's some ground-level players that can help. So they need to do some one-on-one work at training. That's all high ball in. It can't come in much higher and slower, but they're just uncontested marks. So they need to improve their competency level. So you can't go to ground in a contest like that. They need to stiffen up their defence. At some point, you need to be able to defend as a back six when your teammates are putting on the ball. It's just way too easy.
And this is a corresponding game last year, Ross. It was a Thursday night game, and actually McDonald got a hold of them. Well, down the other end, Melbourne have been undermanned. This is their grand final backline. So 4 of their starting 6 are no longer playing. They've introduced Tomlinson, Joel Smith, Jaden Hunt, but still they're 3-0.
Well, what they are is competitors. Jaden Hunt competes. Tomlinson's a seasoned player who competes, big body, and they're desperate to hold their spot. Maybe the Port players are going, well, yeah, we're not going that well, but what are they going to bring in? So sometimes it's desperation and hunger for your spot. Yeah, it's lives on the line in defence. They've just got to get a fingernail in and get more body work and be more desperate.
They're just so organised behind the ball. I want to talk about one of your ex-players, Ross, Ed Langdon, and what he's done for Melbourne. Everyone needs a gut runner, but this guy, he said on radio over the weekend, I don't come off the ground, so I can allow for Petrarca and Oliver to have extra rotations.
Well, he is the running man. Yeah. What great coaching, what great strategy. Because if you keep Petrarca, the tank's not his strength. You keep him and Oliver fresh, they're going to win you the ball. And Ed, because he's not getting beaten up on the outside, he will stand his ground. He'll just keep running. Have a look at this vision.
Ross, I want to show this. So there's 13 seconds to go. Watch Adam Treloar and Dunkley. Their heads are down.
That's the old coach. I'm chasing, I'm trying.
And he doesn't come off, yet he's just power running, and it's hard to contain. Even this one, he gives it all across to Brayshaw. He draws the player, goes again, and instead of bombing the ball, it's getting the ball deeper.
Yeah, it's control and run. But the thing with Ed, he's got a tank. But he looks after himself and prepares as well as anyone that I've experienced. And he modelled himself on Brad Hill. He trained with Brad Hill. He got his running up, and he knew that was his instrument, that was his weapon, and he brings it every week.
Essendon went after Petrarca and actually held him really well last week with Andrew McGrath. But what happened was Oliver got off the chain, and sitting back and watching that game live, Ross, it's his kicking. Champions want to improve themselves all the time, and he's taken his kicking to another level.
Yeah, and hats off to him because he was a player that got an enormous amount of ball, but maybe didn't hurt you as much, just banged on his boot. But now you can see him scanning the field, his peripheral vision, his composure, and he's just picking the right options. He's taking he used to look for the harder option, but I think he's just playing with real composure. But his assessment of the situation, Liberatore doesn't stand the mark, he composed, takes a bit of ground, lowers his eyes, it's like shelling peas. He's become an incredible player in the competition.
Can they do it, Port?
I think they can, and it's just that mental edge. Sometimes you just have to win, and you just need to be brutal, and this is it for Port.